Hello everyone, my name is Tommy and today I am presenting on being Lao American at UIUC, Lao Chinese American at UIUC. So a little bit about me before I begin. So I am 3/4 Chinese and 1/4 Lao. I was born in Hazelwood, Missouri and moved to O'Fallon, Missouri. So I don't think anybody, or maybe not many people know where those cities are at, because I think there aren't really many Missouri people here at the school. So both these cities are west of St. Louis. Hazelwood is about 15 minutes west, 20 minutes west. My home is about 30 to 40 minutes west of St. Louis. Hazelwood is close to Ferguson, Missouri. Maybe that'll help some people. So I'm currently a senior. I'm a double major in history and Asian American studies. And I am the president and one of the founders of the Lao Student Association. So about my family and the community, so this picture down there is of my family. This is me celebrating my one of my childhood birthdays. I have no idea which one. So as for me, I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. So O'Fallon, Missouri is, or at least my high school, or either my community was, one of them was 85% white. So there weren't many people of color in my high school. There was only about 20 something Asians out of 1,300 people. So I never noticed in my family that there was a lot of cultural differences, because one side is Chinese, the other side is Lao / Chinese. They're kind of a mix of both. So there's a lot of differences that I noticed, such as ideological differences even. I mean, part of my family came here as a result of the wars in Southeast Asia, the Secret War, Vietnam War, and then other part of my family's from mainland China, so it's kind of anti-communist versus communist. So that was something that I never really understood growing up, that they came here for different reasons. One came, at least my mom came here because of, it was voluntary, and then my dad's family, they came here because it was involuntary. They settled here because they wanted to escape Laos. And as for me, my childhood, I didn't really learn what it was to be Lao American, so I had a lot of feelings of self-hate and self-loathing. It was also due to the fact that my parents had a divorce, so I didn't know what it was to be Lao for the longest. I always knew, I think from second grade, I knew where the country of Laos was. I could point it out on the map. I could say my dad went to Laos or whatever, but I had no idea what it meant to be Lao. And my dad was kind of a violent person. There was abuse in my house, so I kind of associated that to what Lao people were like, which was a very faulty mindset when I was younger, but I didn't know any better. And at least in my school life, I didn't have a chance to interact with other Asians and Southeast Asians, so I also didn't know what it would be like. I thought my family, or my dad's family, was a representation of what Southeast Asians were like, which that kind of changed until my junior year, where I met someone who was identified as Vietnamese and Chinese, a mix of both. And then she kind of taught me about how her family got here, and then I realized that's really similar to how my family got here. And from that connection / friendship, I learned more about what it meant to be Southeast Asian American, and that's junior year of high school was the first time that I started to identify myself as such. And did my upbringing affect me in any way? Well, I didn't really know what it meant to be Southeast Asian American, so I guess this curiosity of wanting to know more definitely inspires and motivates me to learn more now, and just also makes me very curious and wanting to help other people also explore their identities, because I know some of my family members are still in kind of states where they don't really acknowledge that they're Asian or Asian American. They kind of just, I don't even know how to say it, they don't really even encourage me to do the things I currently do now. They think that being part of cultural organizations is a waste of time, so sometimes family gatherings for me even now, they're just really difficult. So before I begin any further, I just want to talk about terminology. So what does Lao Chinese American mean? So this is the way I identify myself. And well, I actually had no idea what to describe myself for the longest until I looked up on Wikipedia. There was this term called Laotian Chinese. So I thought that was an accurate depiction of what I was. Some people ask me, oh, why didn't I switch up Lao and Chinese around? No, Wikipedia told me. Anyways, that's just the way I describe myself, and some other people I know who are Chinese also, like Malaysian Chinese, Vietnamese Chinese, they put Chinese second, so I thought maybe that's the right way to term myself. And I haven't gotten any complaints so far about the way I term myself, so I think I'm good. And where does it come from? Well, this is there's not an official Wikipedia term for Lao Chinese American. It's more of a thing that I came up by myself, and some of my older friends also use this term, so that's how it was passed along to me. And one helpful infographic that one of my friends, or two of my friends made last year that was really popular on Facebook is the difference between Laos, and Laotian. So even I didn't know the difference between Lao and Laotian for the longest, because I always thought of myself as Laotian because that's what I first heard when I was in 2nd grade when my cousin said, oh, we're Laotian or something along the lines of that. So I termed myself as that, but the difference between Lao and Laotian is Lao is an ethnicity. Laotian you could be of some other ethnic group in Laos and be considered Laotian. Laotian is kind of what you call a Western social construct, kind of like gender and race are, which Lao is the more accurate term if you are of that group, but if you're of a different ethnic group in Laos, you're Laotian technically, but some of them would prefer going by whatever tribe or group they are, whether it's Hmong, Yumian, or any other group. And the terms I use to describe myself, I actually was writing an article one day and I was thinking to myself, what are all the ways I've termed myself? And the ways I describe myself have changed since high school to college and now. I mean, the terms that I describe now mainly use Lao Chinese American, Southeast Asian American, Asian American, Lao American sometimes, but it's a little bit misleading because I'm multi-ethnic. Laotian Chinese American was something I used for the longest until maybe a few months ago when I realized I should switch Laotian with Lao because it's not the most accurate. Laotian American, I've almost never used that one because Lao American was more of a popular choice for me. Chinese American, that's something that I used in high school when I only saw myself as being Chinese American. I denied myself of years of my Lao identity because of the self-hate and self-loathing of my identity. And East Asian American, I don't really quite identify myself as this either because I just found out that apparently this is a term that some people use to identify myself, but since I have family that come from more than one region of Asia, I don't use that term too much. So as an example, I always have to tell people that, or at least in writing, that I'm the president of the Lao Chinese Association. Sometimes there are things that happen where I notice when I'm writing people emails or whatever, they sometimes just write my RSO name wrong. Sometimes they think I'm the Laos Student Association, so it's something that I find a little bit annoying, and my friends kind of think I'm a little bit petty for getting mad about people spelling the name wrong, but I think that spelling words right and getting people's names right is something very important. Okay, so I just want to talk about some thoughts I had before coming to UIUC. So this was actually me the summer before I came to UIUC. So in high school, late high school, as I said, had a chance to interact with my first Southeast Asian American friend. That was when I really got a chance to want to explore more of my Asian American identity, because before high school, I was always wanting to assimilate. I wanted to be white, quote unquote, because I just thought it was weird how I had to go to Chinese school every weekend. I had to eat with chopsticks, I had to eat all these other types of food. I just wanted to eat like an American, live like an American, which I later learned was not what everyone did. But the Asian American club in my high school wouldn't have worked anyways, because I said earlier there was a low number of us at our high school. There wasn't really much of an interest for Asian American issues at my high school, because I know that often at my high school we never really talked about race or sexuality or any of these types of things. They were just put under the table. And there's also another problem of just finding a successor, because I don't think anyone would have wanted to continue it on. And by the time I came up with this idea, I was a second semester senior, so it was already too late for me to really do much about it. And this is kind of a problem that I even face now in college with finding successors and everything. And then the second thing I wanted to do was I wanted to meet more Southeast Asian Americans and Lao Americans. There was an event that happened right before I came to college. I met this person who identified as Hmong, and then she just encouraged me to get to know more people. And fortunately for me, I've been able to do the first two goals, and then wanting to learn more about myself. People I've met before college, they definitely influenced me to want to know, because I think that learning more about myself, it helps me kind of move forward in the future instead of just being unknown. Some of my family feels that I don't need to learn more about myself, that I should be complacent with what I just know and move forward without that knowledge. But I think it helps me personally. And in general, I wanted to have more friends and be more social in college, because I was more of a loner in high school. I didn't have any friends, so these are all my 4 goals. I would say that I've achieved all 4 of them, through different points in college. And I just now want to talk about my actual college life and my initial thoughts about UIUC. So when I was a freshman, I joined almost every Asian American RSO on campus. So AAA, TASC, BSA, etc. And I made my first Lao American friend on campus, so I'm sure is kind of really bad, but my friend is to the right, my friend Eric. He was 2 years older than me, but he taught me a lot about being Lao American. He's from Elgin, and Elgin, Illinois has a really big Lao population. So he was kind of my, I felt he was kind of a big brother figure to me. And well, for some other things on campus, I did feel a lack of support and representation on campus. There are these RSOs and there's the AACC, but a lot of times when I go to these RSOs and the AACC, I can tell that I'm Asian American, but when I tell what exactly I am, a lot of people just get silent in the room. No one really knows what I am, what my needs are, where we come from even. It's the type of thing that I felt the longest before starting up the Lao Student Association. So the Lao Student Association was something that, well, it stems from my high school days where I wanted to start up an Asian American club. I mean, because our school has a lot of RSOs geared towards different groups, Asian groups, and there wasn't a Lao Student Association here. So I thought it'd be nice to start up one, and I wanted to find more Lao Americans and wanted to connect more Lao Americans together. And I had the support behind it. I know first semester I talked to some of my BSA friends. My BSA friends were probably my biggest supporters back then. I think if it wasn't for them and the people that I met in BSA at the time, LSA probably wouldn't have existed, because I even met Eric through a BSA event. And then second semester I connected with the Lao community of Champaign. So for people who don't know, there's actually a lot of Lao American townies that live around here. There's actually a community in Champaign and on both sides of the city. They're not exactly what I call the most active, but they definitely are doing what they're doing, and it's very hard for them to actually continue on sometimes. And even I learned that there's a barrier for them to come to UIUC because of the tuition and the costs. And this is actually my first time celebrating Lao New Year with them. In the picture to the left, April 2016. So a recap of my sophomore and junior years. My sophomore and junior years were not the greatest years of my college life. This was when I felt my mental health was going down the drain. Sophomore slump happened. This was when I first noticed misconceptions of Lao and Lao Americans on campus. Because freshman year, I only noticed that there was a lack of representation, but then the more I talked to some Asian American folks on campus, the more I realized there was a lot of things that they didn't know and things they got wrong, which I'll get into a little bit later. And junior year, mental health just got worse. I know junior year, I didn't really do much. I was in my room most of the day after school classes. Staying in my room, it was kind of feeling very depressed. And then, while sophomore year, or junior year, one good thing that happened was got my GPA up again. And one great thing about sophomore year was I was able to give a panel for Food for Thought. It was about being Southeast Asian American. And me and Eric, along with some VSA members, and my friend Jacob, who's no longer here anymore. Then I'm gonna first talk about how like LSA was at the beginning, and then go back to how things currently are now. So during our first year, it was a very hard process to start up an RSO. I had to find board members. I mean, me and Eric were already, he wanted to start up an LSA for the longest, so it was us two. Then I had to find a treasurer and then 2 other authorized agents. It was a hard process. I remember I started in maybe May of 2016, the process of looking for people, and it wasn't until I had to find people by June of 2016 because, or I forgot what month, but I had to find people before the school year started because I wanted us to have an official board. So I remember it was asking a lot of people, even begging some people to become board members, but it worked out for the first year. And I didn't realize the difficulties of starting up an RSO versus being the president of an existing one. I know that once one of my friends who was a VSA president a few years ago, he was just telling me he admired me for what I did, and then I didn't even realize how hard it was to start. He just told me that the first few years would be very hard to start up, and I kind of listened to his words, but at the same time I wanted to be very optimistic, so he was right in the end. And on September 21st, 2016, the Office of RSOs, the one that's in the Union second floor, south side, recognized us. So that was a very happy day in my college career that we became official. But unfortunately for me, the first year just for me wasn't really the greatest. I had what you call a burnout because feeling the pressures of trying to get people to come to our events, get people to become interested, it was a lot. And then I had a board member quit on me halfway throughout, so first year was kind of rough. I was also bad at communicating. I know I wasted a lot of good opportunities to work with people and have collaborations because I just took 1 or 2 weeks to respond to people on average. You know, I don't even know why. I mean, sophomore slump was real, and well, by the end of the year, I actually kind of got out and recovered from my burnout because I was able to connect with other LSAs, such as the one in Minnesota, and then LCSA, Lao Cambodian Student Association, and UW-Madison. So both these groups taught me that I'm not alone in this type of struggle or endeavor to get Lao, like the Lao culture, to promote our message, to get our students to come together. And looking at what they've done, especially a sister organization in Minnesota who's been around since the 80s, I've learned that I have supporters from all over, and then I model off of them a lot now. And for our second year of Lao Chinese Association, we had our plot day for the first time. That was very interesting. We were very unprepared that day. We didn't even have a computer to sign people up. The wind was blowing everywhere. We didn't even have anything to put on our tables. It looked really plain in retrospect, but we were glad that we had at least a little over a page of people sign up for our newsletter. And we became affiliated with APAC, so that was pretty cool. Before I didn't really know what being affiliated with APAC would signify or what use it would have for us, but I'm glad it's led to more of our voices getting across. Meeting other people is very nice too. Letting other people know what we do. And then we also co-hosted events with other RSOs for the first time. So that was pretty significant because I think when I started, I would have never imagined us having events with other RSOs. But being so, it's nice to get members of other RSOs to know about us. I never had a burnout last year because I was able to communicate with my sister organizations and talk to them about what I should do, events, ideas, and stuff. And so, for my last slide about LSA and senior, I just want to combine our third year and senior year together. So, because both these are ongoing, It's I know personally it's a struggle for law school. I'm really bad at test taking, so that's one thing that really hurts my application right now. And a gap year is gonna have to happen even though my family doesn't like it. I'm still feeling mental health issues, I won't lie. Like a few weeks ago, I was feeling close to a mental breakdown. It's just the pressure of a lot of these accumulating factors about being pressed for school, all these deadlines. It's very hard. And then being Lao American on campus, Lao Chinese American, it isn't easy because there aren't really many people I can talk to on campus. There's not really many students. I mean, when Eric was here, he was kind of my older figure, but now I don't really have many people to talk to, and it's very hard, just to put it short. Then, well, senior year, I want this to be different. I want senior year to be different because before the past 3 years, I've only primarily hung out with Asian Americans. My friend group, or at least the friends I knew, people I knew here, it was probably 75% to 90% Asian Americans. So I definitely want to change that. So recently I've been going to different types of events, visiting different cultural houses on campus, and getting to know people because I've learned this term of intersectionality, but I've never really actually applied it until maybe this year when I was telling other people that are not Asian about my story, about the struggles I faced, and I found allies along the way, which is really nice. And LSA, so one big looming question I alluded to earlier was this might be the end for us. So, as I've mentioned, finding successors is a very difficult job. It's one thing to have someone become a board member, but it's another thing for them to know what they're doing and be passionate about it. But this year, that was what I had the feeling of last year and even this year. Yeah, I think there's hope. I've met a lot of freshmen, 3 or 4 freshmen so far that are really interested in LSA, and hopefully I can get them to be more involved in the future. So getting to the next part of my presentation. Being Lao American, Lao Chinese American on campus, sometimes it feels that my voice is not heard, but I guess throughout my endeavors and years, I found ways to get people to know about my story, get people to know about who I am. So one thing I did was joining the RSOs, and even though I kind of said they don't really know what I am, I guess just telling them what I am, it sometimes sparks some conversation. Some people are interested in what it means, so that was a good starting point. And then I wrote about my experiences actually. So one thing I wrote, the picture to the bottom left, I actually was probably, I remember my first semester, I applied to be an APAC minority model. I had no idea what that even was, but it was cool getting my story across and getting, writing about my experiences because during freshman year, my grandma, my dad's mom, who was full Lao, she actually passed away, and then yeah, I didn't really have a way of communicating what I felt and like my feelings, so getting to write about my 2 minority models about my story, it helped me. And then like the event of that happening by itself was also pretty influential because my grandma's passing away, as sad as it was, inspired me to learn more about being Lao American and learning more about the culture and the language. And even though I'm still very far from mastery of any of those things, I'm definitely further than I was at the start of freshman year. And becoming an AAS major, so when I first signed up for AAS back when I was a freshman, my second semester, it still wasn't a major yet, it was just a minor. But I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I literally went to an event for the AAS luncheon for extra credit for one of my classes, and then one of my professors just handed me a form saying, oh, you can sign up to be a minor, it's not binding, even if you don't finish the degree, it won't be held against you. So I signed up, and AAS classes, at least when I take classes, most of the times I take classes that are interesting to me, and then when it comes to class projects and final projects, I often try to gear them towards Lao Americans and Southeast Asian Americans. So that was a way of getting the professor to know what I was interested in, and getting other people to know what I'm interested in. So summer 2017 and onwards, so last summer was a very transformative summer for me because that's when I went to a conference about Southeast Asian American studies, and I learned that there are other people in the U.S. that are also interested in the topics that I was interested in Asian American studies. So learning from them, hearing what they had to say, learning what they were researching, definitely influenced the way that I researched and things in my classes. And I connected more with Lao Americans from all over the country. So, I mean, my first connection was with my friends in Minnesota. And then they connected me to other groups all over. They connected me to a summer camp, which I learned about Lao music and some other Lao culture. And then he also connected me to a writer's summit. So I went all the way to Seattle, Washington, in the picture to the top left, to learn more about other and network with Lao Americans. And I think it's very important that I've realized that back when I was younger in middle school, high school, and even now, it's important to find role models. So I'm pretty sure everyone can see that I have 2 pictures of me with Bruce Lee's gravesite, his son's gravesite, and his star in Hollywood. He's definitely a role model growing up because Bruce Lee was he was mixed race. I'm multi-ethnic, so I definitely connected with him on that end. And then his story to want to promote what he loved, it just influenced me to promote what I love. And even in real life, I have some older Lao Americans that I find to be role models, who I talk to on a regular basis. They inspire me to create more, they inspire me to write more, they inspire me to continue to put my story forward to people. And I realized last summer, it was not being afraid of networking with others. I think prior to last summer, I was very kind of timid about messaging people who I didn't know in real life, or even in real life. Sometimes I've thought that people were really unreachable, they're really up there, that they wouldn't even consider talking to me. But I've learned that sometimes you just have to message people, email them, whatever. I know that a lot of my Lao American connections, the way that I connected with sister organizations throughout, I mean, I have connections in Washington and California, even in Connecticut. It just comes from me messaging them, just saying, what I am, my position, and just saying I want to network, and talking about experiences, because throughout networking on Facebook and stuff, I've met Americans in various states, even Texas and Arkansas, that have shared similar experiences, and it's definitely helped me a lot, even though I don't see these people on a regular basis. Some of them I've never even met in real life, but knowing that there are people out there, students just like us, it's very inspiring. And the ways in which we as an LSA found a voice for ourselves, so it was definitely participating in community engagement / collaborative events. I know that when we first started, we didn't really have much of either of these, but it was through going to AACC events such as Asia Fest, where we got to talk about Lao culture, and even the APAC coalitions, where, I mean, we're learning about issues, but having these types of connections at APAC, sometimes it's very great. And then, I mean, I said earlier, it was realizing the importance of intersectionality. So, we showed solidarity with others, such as when it was the Native Indigenous Day a few weeks ago. We definitely had to show our support, and I feel that showing our support to others definitely will, or at least they'll have a chance of others showing support back to us. And then something that I've just realized getting older is, I've noticed that a lot of people, even politicians, they just really emphasize on the difference between people and other people, and then I kind of realized that we as humans are really more similar than we would think. So that's what I kind of use to connect with other people, try to look past differences and look for similarities. So, I mean, I've kind of talked about the ways in which I and my RSO have gotten to know, or gotten to express our voices. So I kind of want to turn it to the room right now and ask them what are some ways that you can express your identity, because I feel that sharing our ideas will definitely help us help each other. Anyone have any ideas? And I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, so don't be afraid to answer. Yes?
I guess listening to music and sharing music is a good way you can share a part of yourself to other people. And it could be music that could be unique to your culture or background, or it could be something that's just very important to you. So, yeah.
Anyone else?
Perhaps like create a YouTube channel about your feelings and your identity. Perhaps more people will be interested in who you are, and then maybe that's a way of healing emotionally and personally.
But also like making friends with people who are different from you, because I feel like just the contact you have with people and like being able to just like in a casual way without even having a presentation, it's like being friends with somebody opens their mind as well, as long as you're open to talking about your experiences around them. So I feel like that goes both ways. And then like that combined with forming connections to people who are like you, is like this balance you can achieve. So you can express yourself that way or share yourself.
Anyone else?
I often write like spoken word like poems about being mixed and stuff like that, since a lot of people wouldn't understand otherwise, but when I put it in words like that, then usually it would kind of bridge the gap.
Anyone else? So, I think that these are all valid points. I think for all these points, I've definitely experimented with them at points in time. There's not really one method that I use. It's definitely a mixture of everything people have said. But it's definitely, any of these, it's a step towards the right direction. So, right, I think we should continue with what we're doing, because it's definitely making an impact. And the next thing I want to show is actually, I've been talking about my creative projects, and well, I think it should be useful or helpful at least to show people at least a little of what one of my projects looks like. So for my AAS 365 class, which is Asian Americans in film, it's an Asian American film class, which there's a few of them in the AAS department. But this class, I know for my final project, we had to make a documentary. I forgot. I mean, everyone made something a little bit different, but I know what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to do something that was Lao American related in. I actually had no idea for the longest what I should do, but talking to some friends in Minnesota, definitely got the idea that I should interview some communities. So I ended up talking to the Lao community in Champaign, and then the Lao American organization of Elgin. And then I made this type of documentary. It's very poorly made. I mean, the message is very important, but the way I shot it with my iPhone, there's some very funny, cringy moments in this, but I felt that the message was very important, and I just wanted to show a little bit about what the message was, some of the questions, at least like one of the questions I asked, and this might show some perspective from someone other than me about what it means to be Lao American. So what I'm going to show here is, I think I asked my interviewees, both from Elgin and Illinois, what it means to be Lao American, and here are their responses.
Hospital. What did you do with Lao identity?
My parents have always taught us the value of Laos. My parents always remind us, you're Lao, you're never going to lose your culture, you're never going to lose your heritage. You have to embrace it, but also it's okay for you to embrace the Western cultures as well. But don't forget where you come from.
Who we are, where we from, we never forget. Still reminding, even like I have a son who born here. He don't think, well, he's American, but you tell him here, you also Lao, not just American.
How do you deal with your Lao identity and being Lao?
Well, I'm proud of being Lao in general because I think I have a big understanding of what it means to be Lao and who the Lao people are. I think many people know our country. Laos is a country, it's like this big black block of the world that no one really knows, and it's right in the middle of like very common countries. Royal Lao people, I think I would call it. Those people are getting lost to time. Sometimes I just feel like I came from Atlantis. It's kind of that weird, like it's gone. It's gonna be gone. It's the Laos that's there now, the Communist Party ruled one. The land is similar, but so much has changed.
How does the Lao community here view?
So that was a few minutes of my documentary. I mean, I can't exactly watch through my full documentary because I kind of cringe at how bad the quality was, but I think that what my friend and Vice President Eric said was very important. I mean, it was definitely from that part of the video that I actually came up with the title of the documentary, which is very, I mean, I feel that way too. I was just saying how I felt isolated, kind of, so not many people know about Laos and know the culture, so I think of this documentary, even though not many people have seen it, I feel it's a starting point in the right direction, asking these questions, asking these communities how they function, how they move forward. It's definitely helpful in forwarding discussion. So now I want to talk about some misconceptions about Lao and Lao Americans and Lao people. So I mentioned earlier that I first noticed them during sophomore year, and the first one is that there's a lot of international students that come from Laos to study in the US. That actually isn't true to the best of my knowledge, because from the universities that I've looked at, Lao people at universities, there aren't really many Lao people coming from Laos to study here. So I know that once I was given a task to give a presentation somewhere on campus, and then the presenter was really interested in international students from Laos, but I just said, well, there aren't that many from Laos, and I just felt that this misconception that they were more interested in international students than domestic students, it was kind of heartbreaking in a way, but it was helpful to tell them that there aren't that many, and that I don't exactly know why there aren't that many, but there just aren't that many. And then the second misconception is Lao Americans are mild minorities. So pretty sure a lot of people in this room already know mild minority is the myth that Asian Americans are highly successful in education, economically successful, they don't get into crime. Well, when you look at Lao Americans and other Southeast Asian Americans, that kind of myth kind of goes out the window, because even in my own family, I know that we don't really have the highest income level, at least my dad's side of the family. And then we don't exactly get the highest education. I mean, my dad was only graduated from high school, didn't go on to college, and then he only works at a restaurant/nail salon. So I don't think any of those are really what you would. I'm not trying to talk bad about my dad and what he does, but it's not really. I mean, I think he could go for higher, but there's just a lot of barriers in the way for him to achieve higher status in education or economics. And then the third misconception is there is one definite Lao American experience. So I've learned in my class that a lot of times what non-Asians want to do to Asian people is they want to essentialize us. They want to think that we all come from the same background. We all, I mean, the Lao minority, we're all successful, but there isn't really one Lao American experience. I mean, I've noticed that there's a general one in some cities, whether it be in our states in Minnesota or Wisconsin, but I definitely wouldn't say I had a standard Lao American experience. My family didn't really interact with other Lao Americans. They didn't really they didn't really want me to interact with Lao Americans. If anything, they probably wanted me to approach what I would call the white route, which is assimilating into American society, not really caring about being Asian at all. And then the fourth one is Lao and Lao Americans look alike and have similar surnames. So I know that in a lot of Asian countries, the population looks very different from one another, even in small countries. So in Laos, there are people who are dark-skinned, there are people who are light-skinned, there are people who, a lot of people do look the same, but I mean, I don't really look well. So a lot of people will look at me, they'll assume that I am Chinese or something, which they aren't wrong about, but they will only think I'm Chinese. And then they also will assume that I'm not Lao based on my last name. So it's the type of thing. I mean, my last name got changed during the naturalization process when my dad filed a form to change the name from the Lao last name to the Chinese last name. But I've learned that with misconception number 4, it's definitely very important not to assume someone's identity based on whatever they look like or whatever their name is, because both of those they can be helpful, but they can also be misleading at the same time. I have a second video clip to show, so I don't know how many people here are familiar with King of the Hill, but this little clip will kind of segue into the next topic I want to talk about. And so, a background behind this clip is there's this character in the King of the Hill. This is probably one of the first media representations of Lao people in the U.S. But the thing is, it's a very problematic representation, and this clip is it's definitely similar to one experience I experienced in real life.
Are you Chinese or Japanese?
I live in California last 20 years, but first come from Laos.
Huh?
Laos. We lay ocean.
The ocean? What ocean?
We are like ocean. From Laos, stupid. It's a landlocked country in Southeast Asia. It's between Vietnam and Thailand, okay? Population 4.7 million.
So are you Chinese or Japanese?
Oh.
I mean, I kind of find that clip a little bit funny and problematic, but it's definitely something that happens in real life. So the next thing I want to talk about is being denied of my identity. So back during last summer, there was actually 2 instances where I was denied of both being American and being Lao. So this is during the time, this is last July when I was heading from my house in St. Louis, Missouri to all the way to Connecticut, Stores, Connecticut, Yukon. And well, along the way, I was on a plane ride first. I was on United, and yeah, this is after the thing with the Vietnamese thing at United, and my parents still got me United for some reason, but it was just very frustrating because I know when you're in an emergency row exit seat, you're asked the question of, oh, do you know what to do in the case of an emergency? And well, that's standard. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but when the flight attendant, who was a white woman, came up to me, the person next to me was a white person. She just said the directions normally, but before talking to me, she just asked, oh, can you speak English? That was just very annoying, and my friends kind of say I'm being over dramatic about being asked if I speak English or not, but I think in that case, if I was going to be asked that, why doesn't the white man next to me get asked the same question, or why don't neither of us get asked that question? So it was just, I really get annoyed when someone asks me if I can speak English or not. I mean, it doesn't happen, maybe it happens once every few years, but it's just kind of annoying to me that, you know, I'm US born, I'm American, I can speak English, why am I being asked these types of questions? It was just very infuriating. And then incident number 2, this is when I was heading towards a Connecticut airport to Yukon. This is my first ever Lyft ride, and then the Lyft driver, who was South Asian, he was like asking me about myself, and then I said, oh, I'm from Missouri, whatever, I'm a college student, everything, and then he asked me what I am, and then I said, oh, I'm Lao American, and he says, what's that? So, are you Chinese or Korean? And I was like, I didn't want to deal with this BS. I only had 4 hours of sleep the night before, so I was very tired, so I just said, really, really angrily, oh, I'm Chinese, whatever. It was just very frustrating because, I mean, he was South Asian, so I thought someone who was also Asian would kind of understand these types of experiences, but I didn't even know that someone who I thought would know wouldn't know, and was just assuming. That was just, it's very crushing. And I like the second group discussion. I know this is a topic that maybe not many people want to talk about, but are there any instances where any of you have felt this type of discrimination or being denied of your identity?
Yeah, I remember freshman year, I went to one of those like ballroom classes in the Union, and so I was like dancing with some guy, and then afterwards like, what part of India are you from? And I'm like, Brooklyn. Because I'm not from India. Like my family's not from India either. I'm a New Yorker. I have a very American accent. It's just, yeah.
Any other incidents?
Yeah, so I was born in India, but I grew up in Dubai, and because of that, I'm still kind of proud of my identity as an Indian or a South Asian, but I'm a little less rooted, and I've had influences from a lot of different people and a lot of different groups. So I guess sometimes it makes me upset because no one really recognizes me as part of any kind of given group. It's like I'm not Indian enough to be Indian, or I'm not Asian enough to be Asian, but I'm not American either. So yeah, that's something I experienced.
Anyone else? Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like similar to the small incidents that you talk about. But yeah, again, this is really small, but like on the train, live Chicago on the train, you take a train every single day to and from school, and then sometimes you'd be, zoning out because it's been a long day and you're trying to go home. And I live like far on the south side, but people would be like, oh, this is your stop, like at Chinatown every time, like this is not my stop, I get off 2 stops later. But like, again, like the assumptions that we live in a certain area, that was kind of annoying. And then also like people on the street just like speaking to you in Chinese. Like I don't speak Mandarin, and also I barely understand Chinese. So I think like the implications of just like being an alien like in your own country kind of sucks, because the act itself does not have any immediate harm, although I did try to run over someone with my bike once. But it's the implications that I feel like build up over time that cause some internal harm. So.
I've experienced it way too many times to tell you a specific instance of it because it would just take up the whole time. But yes, a lot. And I have even gotten the question like just last night, like, oh, you're Asian? What type of Asian? And like I was like, okay, interesting. That's not the right way to ask that. But I personally don't allow those instances to feel like it denies my identity, because I don't let others have power over me like that, in that way, to like influence how I feel about myself. I mean, it'll still like, maybe piss me off for like 5 minutes. But other than that, I won't let it affect me too much, because it just happens like every week.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm from Thailand. So I usually get asked where I'm from. I say, oh, I'm Thai, I'm from Thailand. And then more than 10 times, people keep on asking me, like, Taiwan? Are you from Taiwan or Taiwanese? So every time I'm like, no, it's Thailand. I'm like, where is Thailand? Like, where else? So I pointed on a map, like, it's in Southeast Asia, like, it's not Taiwan, it's different. I don't speak Chinese. And then every single time, they'd be like, oh, we're like, there's like lots of elephants. Yeah, I guess. Do you ride elephants to school? That's like really funny. I was like, wait, what? Sorry, you're from Texas, right? And she's like, yeah. Do you ride horses to school? And she never talked to me again. So that's about it.
So I definitely, it's very unfortunate that some of us in this room have experienced incidents like these, and I don't know, this current political atmosphere, I don't know if it makes these incidents worse or better, but it's I feel like these types of things will exist for quite some time in the future, which is very unfortunate, but I guess we just have to deal with it somehow. And then I guess the next part is this kind of shifting to what I'd like to see for UIUC in the future. So, I mean, last weekend I attended this a retreat, and then I was supposed to write about one issue that was very important to me. So I somehow wrote about I know I can't even, my own handwriting, I can't read it, but don't worry about it. It's about the awareness of Southeast Asian issues on campus. So I know I've been telling my professors for some time I definitely would love to see an Southeast Asian American class, at least focused on it, because a lot of our classes, even though the campus atmosphere itself, it seems to a lot of times be geared towards South Asians and East Asians, but there's not really room for Southeast Asians and some other groups of Asians. So I think it'd be nice to even have an intro level class. I mean, there was an intro class for some Middle East Americans, so I was thinking if that's possible, then I think an intro class for Southeast Asian Americans is definitely something that's feasible. And then I was thinking during last weekend, it would be nice to have at least one Southeast Asian American representative, so an older person who's gone through experiences that some of us college students have gone through. Kind of like a counselor in a way. I know if I had one of those on campus, definitely would have been easier for me to navigate around campus. I would have used that resource, and I might feel less of the mental health problems that I have now if I had someone to talk to that understands where I'm coming from and who's been through what I've gone through. And just awareness of Southeast Asian American issues. So I know a lot of times that people get informed because I educate them, but I feel that if I don't educate them, sometimes it's just a mystery about where's your country from, what's your culture about, types of questions like this. And a more accessible counseling center, so one of my friends actually brought this up to me. I had no idea that, I knew that you had to call at 7:50 a.m. in the morning, but I didn't know how quick they fill up. And then I heard that there's one representative for every 2,000 something students. And I also heard that there are no appointments for the counseling center available, well, at least last week until the end of October. So, I mean, I wish it was more accessible, but I think there are some ways to talk about that, but that's another subject for another day. So, I mean, I guess talking about future plans, I mean, for me personally, I want to come out of law school, hope to stay in the Midwest, hope to continue to advocate for Lao Americans and learn more about myself, and definitely do more for the Asian American community in any way I can. And LSA plans, as I've said previously, finding successors it's difficult, but I think it's feasible, and it's also planning potential conferences and collaborations. I know that one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get more affiliated with the Sticky Rice restaurant on campus. It's this one that's on Neal Street. People are nice, we're in talks, so it's a work in progress. And also the conference. So I'm pretty sure some people in this room know what VIA1, FACT, or MASU are. It'd be nice to have something like that for a lot of Americans. It's kind of hard to get people to come together, but it's something that I'd like to see done, if not me doing it, someone down the road having the idea to do it. And it's a good idea for us to, it's a good way for us to network with each other and learn more about experiences and take other people's approaches back to our respective universities. And then for my last slide, so for some summary and take-home points, so I know that it took me a while to realize, but there is a significance in everything that you do. Sometimes when I do things, I think that I don't think anyone's gonna really care, but I think sometimes that mindset is a little bit detrimental. Sometimes I think when I make events or whatever, when I talk about my experiences, I don't think anyone's gonna care, but I also in the back of my mind, I hope at least someone out there who listens or goes to one of my events takes something away from it that's useful in some way. And I mean, I already said, learning not to assume things about people, I've done that before, whether it's sexual orientation or race or ethnicity. I've done that before. I've been assumed. So it's kind of a both. It goes two ways. So I learned that before you know someone fully, you just have to be respectful of them and maybe ask them questions about this type of stuff before you call them a he or a she or whatever type of thing. Oh, you're Chinese, you're Korean, Japanese, whatever. And then learning to be patient with others. So I know on campus, sometimes I get frustrated with some people because they're not really willing to learn about LSA or being Lao American, but I know that this type of thing is how to slowly get people interested in getting people in an open mind and being willing to learn about us. And I mean, networking with others is crucial, and I just said earlier, I was doing a lot of networking on Facebook last summer and even to now, just networking with other people who identify as Lao American, who identify as other types of things that I can relate to in some way. And I used to think that they're really high up and then they won't even take the time to respond to my message, but you'd be surprised who answers your messages sometimes. And also you have to realize that the mental health struggle is real. I know it's not a subject that people like to talk about in the Asian Americans specifically, they don't really like to talk about mental health issues, but I know that if we do make it less of a stigma, it can help some of us along the way. It would definitely help me a lot if I could talk about the problems I have instead of keeping it to myself. And then realizing the importance of intersectionality. So I did touch on earlier that sometimes we are more similar to each other than we are different. So I think building a nice community would be accepting people, putting aside differences, but still noticing them. I wouldn't say completely ignoring differences is good either. That would kind of lead to color blindness, which isn't good. And then realizing what the Asian American community at UIUC means to me. So I had a really eager mindset coming into UIUC. I was very eager to meet people, and then it kind of turned into a little bit of a disappointment. But after having some talks with some of the Asian American or the AACC staff members, I just realized, my work is appreciated and my voice is getting across. And I know I had a talk with them yesterday, and it was very emotional. I might sound like a staff for saying this, but I actually cried a little after talking to them because I was validated, and it means a lot for me to be validated by people. And it's not something I hear every day, so it means a lot to me. And well, I hope people got something out of this talk. I know it seems like I was blabbling on for an hour probably, so thank you everyone for attending.